Hi, I'm Hoodie here, and this is the story of how I built a thriving dual-purpose toy factory / coal mine fortress in the frozen tundra, and how the whole operation came crumbling down. I embarked in the tundra, where the snow would be falling year-round, herds of reindeer would be roaming to and fro, and we would, hopefully, be distributing the finest coal and toys to children throughout the realm. To start, we dug down through the snow and started mining out the beginnings of a fortress, revealing some caverns in the process. I quickly got that patched up before any weird cavern creatures could crawl, fly, or slither their way in. Once the room was dug out, we put in 2 large stone stockpiles, 6 crafting workshops for toy production, a trade depot where we could give our goods away, and 2 finished goods stockpiles where the toys would be kept. Other, less important workshops were also created, just outside of the toy production area where visitors wouldn't see them. We also dug out some bedrooms, so that the workers of the fortress would have somewhere to go and relax after their long days spent either carving stones into toys or mining for coal. We had embarked in the autumn, but by the time that we had all of this set up, it was already summer, and we had attracted our first migrants. Such lovely summer weather. Now with enough dwarves that a few could be spared, I created a work detail for stone crafting, and named it Elves, after the North Pole type, not the tree-loving kind. My dwarves still didn't really have anywhere to relax other than their bedroom, so in quick succession I added a tavern, a kitchen area, and a generic temple. And then we took a small but calculated risk to dig into the cavern and wall off a section of mossy ground to use as a farm. Luckily we had no problems. The fortress started kicking into gear not long after, with my elves producing toys and my miners hunting for coal or lignite that could be used to make coal coke. I thought I had covered all the basic necessities of the fort and was just watching my dwarves at work when I began to notice that they were all getting thirsty. I'd obviously been settling in warm climates too often because I'd completely forgotten that there wasn't an infinite source of fresh water freely available on the surface, and that I actually had to make a well. Dehydration bullet dodged, we soon ran into a new, less deadly problem. We had run out of stone to make the toys with. I had obviously underestimated the amount of mining that was necessary for both toy and coal output to remain optimal, and so I redoubled our miners' efforts in clearing out vast swaths of stone. While the raw lignite and coal that we were getting for mining was good, I wanted to refine it before we sent it off to any misbehaving kids, so that they would be receiving the finest coal coke in the world, instead of some lumpy non-furnace ready stones. With that in mind, we set up a coal refining area on the level below our toy production. With that done, I could just sit back and watch for a while, as we accumulated stone and turned it into toys and coal coke. One of the advantages of our setup was that the caravans would be coming to us and handling endpoint distribution, so there was no need for sleighs or reindeer or anything like that. Still, when I saw a herd of reindeer wandering around on the surface, I couldn't help but want some reindeer of my own, just for fun. And so I started producing mechanisms and iron cages to create cage traps. But before I could place them, I was interrupted by the yearly dwarven caravan. They hadn't brought wagons, so I knew they wouldn't be able to carry too much, but I had to give them a good sampling, so I made sure to include as many different toys as I could. Obviously I didn't get into the gift creation business to make a profit, so I sent my toys along for free. It wasn't until a couple minutes after trading them that I remembered that I had coal to give them as well. I tried to load them up, but the weight limits restricted me to just 3 pieces of coal. It was a shame, but at least 3 children with coal in their stockings is better than none. With my distraction now taken care of, I started placing cage traps on the surface, extending to the east and the west of my little stair shelter. We soon had more muskox and stoats than we knew what to do with, but eventually all the cage management was worth it when a herd of reindeer wandered into the danger zone and managed to get themselves captured one after another. They seemed pretty amiable and were easily trained, which made me think that they were great little mascots for a bustling little fortress. We weren't some 200 dwarf behemoth, but we produced our coal and our toys and got on with our mostly happy little lives. It seemed like we could keep this up forever. But sometimes staring down forever drives a person to do crazy things, like trying to find out how fast a minecart would have to slam into a fortification before it would fling all of its coal at the 2 necromancers trapped inside. It started as a simple experiment, but something stopped me from preventing the cart from being pushed while dwarves were still on the tracks. And when it resulted in a dwarf being horribly injured and squeezed through a fortification into the necromancer prison, I felt nothing. I barely even felt anything when a dozen dwarves took the opportunity to wander into the cavern when I breached it and were then killed. And then, when my necromancers began reanimating cave swallow people and dwarves alike, I simply watched in grim interest. But when some cave swallow people escaped the caverns, flapped their way up to the surface, and killed my reindeer, it meant war. I hadn't even previously bothered to set up squads because we had been so untroubled, but now everyone was drafted and told to train. It seemed to be going well until I noticed repeated disturbances being reported at the well. For some reason my dwarves kept drowning at the bottom of it. The mystery was revealed when I saw a cave swallow person fly up the well and proceed to stab my dwarf until they fell down into the water, where they succumbed to their injuries. With this, they were directly bringing the fight to me, and so, as unprepared as we were for a direct battle, I sent my dwarves down to the mine, where we would deal with the cave swallow people once and for all. After an exciting initial battle that we fared pretty well in, the cave swallow people started picking away at my troops one by one. Eventually, we had been whittled away to almost nothing. And then, after our expedition leader staged his final stand and was killed by the cave swallow people on the surface, we were left with nothing but the couple of bards and poets that were still hanging around in the tavern. To give them a fighting chance, I locked the doors to the tavern, which would buy them time, but also doom them to the eventuality that a troll would wander up from the caverns and smash the doors down. We had gone from a productive little beehive of Dwarfmas activity to a husk of a fortress, populated with more gorlaks than stone crafters. I don't know what made me do it. Perhaps it was staring down the barrel of forever, or perhaps it was the fact that I had an exam in the morning and I was craving chaos. Whatever the case may be, thanks for watching and Merry Christmas.